Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV.
Hey, I'm Lynn, your co-host.
Let's gear for C and get underway. Why do so many businesses struggle or fail?
It's normally not because the business owner doesn't have an expertise around their product or service.
Most business owners are great at delivering the results of their product or service that they sell.
But marketing, branding, time management, and goal setting are critical elements to the success of any business too.
Breakthrough Business Mastery focuses on all of these areas and more.
Today's guest, Gary Barnes, is known as the Breakthrough Business Mastery Coach and will help you to master key focus areas.
So greetings, Gary Barnes. Welcome to the Home Business Podcast. Say hello to our audience.
Well, thank you so much. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for connecting in. So it's Denver, Colorado?
Denver.
All right.
Beautiful, sunshiny, warm Denver.
How do the Rocky Mountains look today?
You know, like they do almost every day, tall.
It's got to be inspiring, though, to look out your window and see the mountains. I don't know.
You know, it is. It also helps to tell us which direction we're facing, so we always know the mountains are west.
That's convenient.
Okay, thanks for connecting in.
Well, Gary, let's get to know you better. You're an author and a well-known speaker. Can you please give us a quick snapshot?
Well, you know, my early background it was in theology and psychology, so I said I was arguing with myself from a very early age. And then I went into real estate from there. I was a square peg in a round hole within the theological systems. And out of that, I built one of the very first financial planning firms and built that over 30 years into the top 3% in production, being a solo producer. And then after that, I sold that about 17 years ago. And then, you know, it's really interesting that people wanted to know how I built my businesses. And now I'm a full-time coach, speaker, and author.
So you kind of, got some experiences and did some different things, built off of your, educational foundation, but then kind of evolved into something new that you're doing now. You're kind of maybe a little bit the way giving back with the knowledge and wisdom you've gained.
Very much. You know, people have asked me, am I a business coach or am I a life coach? And I say, I'm a business coach that includes life, because I don't think you can separate the two anyway. They will.
I mean, business becomes your life. So it seems like there's so much work you got to put into it.
Oh, golly. If we do that, we're in trouble, though.
Right. Yeah, you got to try to keep those boundaries. Let's zoom in on the big issue right away. Why do so many businesses fail, Gary?
You know, the general rule of thumb has been cash flow. They run out of money, they run out of time, and I don't think that's it. That's an element of it, but I think the major reason really is people have not been trained in how to be a business owner, how to be a true entrepreneur. What does it really mean to be an entrepreneur? Because most people are looking for that magic technique, that magic bullet, that magic system. And what I have found is 80% of success in any business is psychological and emotional, not tactical. But people are looking the 80% in the tactical, and they run out of the ability to actually run their business and stay in business because it doesn't always go exactly the way we would like. I'm guessing you have also felt that, in business. And,
so what you hear a lot is that with business failure, the market demand wasn't there. But what you're saying is that, more often than not, the market demand is there, but they're not going about the business the right way. And
correct.
The building blocks are there so you can have a successful business.
I firmly, and I've seen that with businesses around the country and my clients around the world. It's all have that similar elements is that they know what their product or service does and the benefits of this great product or service, but they don't know how to sustain it in a business model. And when that happens, it doesn't matter how good the product is. They're probably not going to make it.
That's a good perspective to look at things.
It's a little bit different.
So, Gary, how you deal with your competition will impact whether you fail. How do you personally deal with your competitors?
You know, years ago, I was having a new phone system put into my office, and the salesperson looked at me and she said, "Who's your competitors?" And immediately what came out of my mouth kind of surprised me, and I said, "No one." And she thought, well, that was a little bit arrogant. And I started to think about it, and really it was true, because when my personality, if I'm competing with you, I will back up and let you win just because I don't want you to lose. And so the philosophy and the program or the process around that I work with is I only compete with me. And believing that there is enough business for everyone, and I'm unique enough that the part of the populace that will want to connect with the products or services that I give, I can always win. Because if I compete with somebody else, somebody loses, and then we get into negative marketing. Very much like the political, where this person is bad, and I just want to know what you believe in and what you're going to do. And it's that adversarial. The cellular companies are always doing this. Can you hear me now? And it's not about how good they are or what makes them different. It's about how bad somebody else is.
So, it almost comes back to like what you're talking about with the sports analogies we grew up with. Is compete against yourself, your own personal best. Keep your focus on, being better each time against yourself. And, eventually you'll stack up okay with the competition instead of focusing just on your competitor.
Well, and I think people will see you as safer when you do that as well, because you're not stomping on someone else.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about business mastery. What do you see as the three key successes for, three keys to success in a business?
It really comes down to three things that I've been teaching for a number of years. And this comes out of what I have found for me, building my business at high levels very quickly, is the first thing is to be seen. If no one knows you're there, it doesn't matter how good your mousetrap is, build it and they will come is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you've got to have that ability and permission to be seen. And so many people, when you're a baby, the two things that people want you to do, your parents, is walk and talk. And as soon as you do, they say, shut up and sit down. to really, be in our own place. And it feels maybe a little egotistical to stand up and say, here I am. But if we don't do that, no one knows that we're even there. The second thing is to be safe. And this is something I don't know of anyone else teaching this. And what I mean by that is any connection is you go into it without an agenda. I'm not here to close you. I'm not here to sell you something. I'm actually here to get to know you, to get to know what your story is, what your needs, what your desires are. And so when you do that, people will actually come towards you.
So what you're saying, you're talking about make them feel safer. When you when you go into that relationship, put their guard down. Don't be focused on ABC, always be closing or whatever, but to build that rapport so they feel safe with you.
Absolutely, it's really about understanding their story, being human being to human being. And I have been told over the years that certain people say it takes longer to build a relationship, and it doesn't. It actually happens much quicker. And it's a true relationship, not an adversarial one. Not what can I get from you, what you're a stepping stone to something else. And because of that, you have many times someone that advocates for you out in the community. They're actually going to promote you without even being asked to. And the third thing is that you have a product or service that is not only needed, but wanted, and it's being relevant. And so many people say, I have this product, everybody needs it. Well, but has it transitioned to where people now desire it? Are they looking for it? And when I deal with health professionals, I ask this, do Americans want to be healthy? And every single time they go, absolutely, yes, they do. And I go, no, they don't.
You're right. They say they think they want to be healthy, but then they do everything, everything to the contrary.
Well, I say if Americans wanted to be healthy, McDonald's would not be the number one restaurant in America. Americans want fast, cheap, and taste good. And so what we want to do is whatever that product is that mirror to the marketplace that we think will have a niche in a desire. And so it goes back to the pet rock. The pet rock was a rock that somebody painted, put it in a box, and sold it. I mean, come on. Today, it would not work. Back in the 70s when it came out, millions and millions of dollars, people were buying rocks.
So are you kind of saying it might not be really rational, that, they should want it? Maybe that's the rational, but then you got to realize there's something emotional or not rational, which actually defines the want. And that's what you've got to, home in on and make sure you're creating that want, or you're there for it.
Right. And when you're showing up, they see you're safe, and they now see that you have a relevant solution to whatever pain they have. You become what I call a people magnet. People are actually going to seek you out because of the solution, not because of your sales technique.
I like your key point about being seen. One of the feedback and problems I see all over the place is social media and all the noise and things that are conflicting for that small screen that everybody's carrying around with them. Oftentimes you can't actually meet face to face, and a lot of home-based businesses are, virtual, and, how do you get seen if you might not be able to make a personal connection, a personal visual connection? How do you get seen and you break through for that really valid point you have?
Well, it's a lot of the things that, like what we're doing here, we're being seen with each other. Mm-hmm. It's an association. It's putting out, and people will live vicariously through you as well. And so when you put out things on social media, it's not about how good my food looks. So it's very deliberate about what is being showcased. But it's, again, that relevance. People want to see that you're living what you're teaching, what you're preaching. Are you walking the talk? So many people out there have a good rhetoric, they have a good message, but they're not living that same message. So there's a disconnect. And I think that's one of the things that social media can give us, but also to show the real us. Not that everything is always perfect, everything always happens to extremely the way we want it to, and in my life is just a bed of roses. Well, we can have a bed of roses, but every rose has a bunch of thorns.
I want to pull out a good nugget you said there. You said, like, living vicariously, that people might subconsciously live vicariously through you, and you can foster that through social media.
You can. And here's the key where the benefit is that in many ways, I feel we can give people permission to actually go out and do something, to be seen, that it's okay. We're leading by example. And so what I have taught around becoming a celebrity, I ask people, are you a celebrity? And most of the time they say no. I go, why not? My definition of celebrity is, how are you different from, not better than? And then when we have that philosophy, I am the subject, but I am not the message. So I can keep the ego intact. I can give permission to people to step out into the light that is their light. They're not going to take it from anybody else. But when you do that, then you are multiplying the benefit to the general population about whatever that extra service or product or connection would be that these people now have permission to step into, that will give an ultimate benefit to people that don't even know they're there right now.
And you don't have to be personally interacting in the same space with somebody. You can use the tools of technology and social media to do that.
Well, even with the Facebook Lives, and, I have a number of clients internationally that I've never met in person. And because of the technology that we have, it's like we're in the same room.
Hey, we're in the same room, right?
Absolutely. It just happens to be technology. And
I feel like you're here. Yeah.
Well, I it's always like the cloud. Where does the cloud live? How are we doing this? I am not smart enough to know how. I'm smart enough to push the button.
We're all living in the cloud together.
Yes.
Well, Gary, you've had several successful businesses. If you had to start over today, what would you do?
Take more risks. And
really? Take more risks?
Risks. The safe road normally is the road that's going to lead us down to a dead end, because Sir Richard Branson said, in his words, if you're not being sued, you're not out there far enough. Mario Andretti said, if you're not scared, you're not going fast enough. But the thing is that both of them take calculated risks. But every time we do something for the first time, it's scary. And the first time always is. And so when we look at risk as being normal, fear as being normal, but there's, I believe it was Susan Jeffers wrote a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's never going to feel comfortable the first time you do anything. And, whatever it is now, doing an interview, being on stage, you do them, and you forget that first time fear that you had. I'm always a little scared before doing anything. I think it's normal. It tells me I'm ready. It's not
it's good. It's good to have some apprehension. It relates to the stress, and stress is normal for taking a risk. And I guess it's making change. They say, change is stressful, and that comes with risk.
Well, absolutely. We just changed computers, so I know all about the change and pain. But if we're not risking, we're not growing. We're not expanding. And the status quo normally will not allow you to sustain your business for very long. And so that's what I would say is being willing to embrace that risk is normal, fear is normal, and to become really okay with that feeling of fear, that it's a validation that you're on the right track.
So maybe you should never get comfortable in your business. You should always be looking at ways to expand or do different things, and that's going to entail risk. But what you were saying, that allows you to adapt.
Yes. Well, the first part of any year, people start adopting a word for the year, kind of a mantra.
All the resolutions.
Yeah, well, even more than it usually comes down to one word, like we're going to do something. But for me, my word will always be I've had this for like 5 years now, and the word is expansion. I've built the foundation. Now it's a matter of expansion and everything that I end up doing or taking the opportunities that come my way. And so, but every time I do something new, it is new. It's something that is going to have a different wrinkle, a different application, a different outcome, and it's okay.
Well, let's talk about something new, something you did create, which is, the Breakthrough Business Mastery Bootcamp. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's a labor of love. I say it's the closest thing to a man to birth a baby, and my wife says, no, it's not. And but it's a 3-day event. We hold it here in Denver, Colorado. One of the things that is unique about it is number one, it's number 37 coming up in just a couple of weeks. I do them in January and July, and the event is designed day one called Foundation Day, and that's the psychological and emotional aspects of building any business. It goes beyond goal setting. It goes beyond it. Everything that I teach at the event is proprietary. It's things that I've created for myself, so it's not something I do out of a book. And that first day, we ended with a board break exercise. A friend of mine's a 9th degree black belt, Taekwondo champion, and everybody goes through that exercise and really wraps up that day. Day 2 and 3, really, we get into the techniques and strategies. We get into how to market, how to brand. There's what I call the 3 magic words. When people say, what do you do? What do you say? And most of the time, we are telling them what we do or how we do it, and they don't care, and they're not even listening. So how to break through the white noise.
And that relates then to how you brand yourself, that emotional connection that people will get when you tell them who you are.
Right, because if you say I'm a realtor or I'm an accountant or I'm a doctor or whatever, now you've just pigeonholed yourself into what they think you do or who you are that have nothing to do with who you are. And so we have built this system that allows people to really rebrand their brand and how to elevate and separate themselves from the competition, like what we were saying just a couple of minutes ago. And we get into time management. And I give back over 41 hours a year by one technique at the event. And so you can use it to have a vacation, go figure, with things that people don't do anymore. But it's a full encompassing. And then on Sunday, we do some other exercises, but we do something very special called a speak off, to where we choose 2-3 people out of the audience and they come up on stage, do a couple of minutes of a intro, a talk, 30-second commercial, whatever they want to do. The professionals in the room, we give them feedback, and they come back up and do it again. And it's a magical transformation. And people, whether they're on stage or not, they actually get the tidbits on how to be able to communicate, whether it be the one-on-one, doing it into a networking event, or doing a presentation or a stage talk. It doesn't matter. It's all the same system. And so it's a full 3 days to where if I never see the person ever again, my goal is for them to be able to take the information and apply it in their business on Monday morning to make a difference to the positive. So it's not that high level, we think you ought to do a website. No, we get underneath that and actually give you the building blocks of what it is that I have done. And we have a couple of
It's like you almost like sharpen some critical aptitudes that you
Yes.
need to have in business, and then, help build up their toolbox and toolkit. And then, then it could be an infinite number of scenarios that they have to apply that to.
Yes. And it's exciting to see the light bulbs go on. Because again, Jim Rohn had a saying that small hinges swing big doors. And that's what I'm looking for, is those small little adjustments that we can give individuals in the room for them to say, I got it. And they are able to get a bigger, faster result instead of banging their head against the wall that's going to take them a little while to get through. We show them where the door is.
It must be kind of satisfactory to you, though. Like Sunday afternoon, and you can, I guess you kind of like see the light bulbs maybe have gone on with a lot of the people as they walk out of there, and they're going to do good things with it.
Well, I get so many cards and emails, and the life-changing. I have been told that people come in on Friday as a community on Saturday. There are a group on Friday, a community on Saturday, and a family on Sunday.
It's like boot camp.
It really is. And so the interaction, the way it's designed, the time goes by extremely quickly. But I've had people come back over 10, 15 times, some of the attendees. And they just go, the reason that they come back, frankly, is that they're in a different place, ready to hear different things that we say at the boot camp. And so it's really, it's turned into a tribe of people that I truly enjoy being around.
Sounds like you look forward to doing it each time.
I do it unless it's like 30 days out, and then it gets to be, okay, let's get all the...
Now you get a little bit of that apprehension, though, right? Which is good. That, something to be apprehensive on.
Yeah, the time that I look forward to is day one, 8 o'clock, when I start. When I start, we're on, we're good.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gary Barnes, this has been a wonderful discussion on reducing our risks of failure. Do you have any final points you'd like to share?
I would just like to encourage everybody to be seen, take the risk of, being genuine, have a product or service that if it's truly not who they are, what it is that they can get excited about, find a new product or service, but to go on and actually connect with the world. Because I truly believe that it doesn't matter if you're selling toothpicks, it's going to have a major impact on somebody's life somewhere along the line. And so we all matter. Become that celebrity, let your light shine, and let people know you're there.
Don't be afraid to be seen. Well, Gary Barnes, thank you for being such a great guest on the Home Business Podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sorry. To learn more about Gary Barnes and his mastery courses, visit breakthroughmastery.com or our podcast website for more information on guests.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website, homebusinessmag.com.
Visit the website for information on advertising, subscribe to our newsletter. Please visit our sponsors for more information. Visit homebusinessmag.com or the expo at homebusinessexpo.com.
I'm Richard Captain Henderson saying, anchors away.
We'll talk with you soon. Until then,
make it a great home-based biz day.